Good afternoon, friends. Well, it's another day in the shop working on the 1979 Shovelhead. Again, I'm working on this for a little chopper project that I've got. I started this project quite a while ago, turned it into a roller, put it in the front of the shop, and then had nothing else for it. It was a front end, set of wheels, a transmission, obviously a frame. So I got the whole thing rolling, but I never had an engine. And I was able to score this set of cases, got a whole bunch of stuff with it, and then needed to accumulate more parts to be able to assemble this thing properly. So now that I've got most of the parts, we're kind of picking at it. Anyway, in the last couple of videos, you've seen me put the S&S oil pump in this thing, and then I've got the cam chest all buttoned up. I have since ordered a point system. This will be running points, and a myriad of hardware to be able to get this thing built. Today we're going to work on putting on the lifter blocks. I think we'll assemble the heads at that point, and we'll see how far we can get. So let's go ahead and get that camera moved and then get to it. One of the things I was working on is installing the pistons and the cylinders. I started filming the process, and unfortunately my memory card died. Seems to be the common occurrence lately. This technology stuff kind of stinks. So I did not film that. I do have a set of, they're called engine technology cylinders. They're a standard bore. I have a standard bore set of Harley Davidson pistons in this, new rings. The crosshatch in there is very well. These pistons and rings are, or pistons and cylinders, excuse me, are used. The rings are new, and the cylinders, of course, have been matched to those pistons. So those things did go to the machine shop, and they're all set up now. But today we're going to focus on working on getting these lifter blocks installed. All right, I am using a stock set of lifter blocks, and as you can see, it's labeled front on this. I did stick my gasket in place, and I tried to stick them on with assembly lube, hoping this would stay. It is a metal inside gasket. It's got felt on the outside. I did run assembly lube inside of the channels here so that the lifters could move nicely. One of the things you want to be mindful of is the orientation of how these things go in, and trying to keep the lifters themselves in place. So what I'm going to do is, because these are a hydraulic set of lifters, I'm going to stick my fingers in the holes, and I'm going to guide this in slowly from the top here. And then we'll let those rest on the cam. I should have opened my hardware already, but I did not. I am using a Colony hardware set. This is a lifter base Allen screw kit. This is for 1976 and up big twins. These are a 1/4 screw here. We're going to go ahead and try to line these up with that gasket as much as possible. Just going to take the time here to thread these in by hand. All right, now we'll repeat the process with the rear. Obviously this one says rear. You can see the part number on here too. This is a 18611-73. So these are a stock OEM Harley Davidson lifter block. We'll go ahead and flip this around, and I'll stick my fingers in there again. Probably do it with my left hand. And we'll hold those lifters in place. Trying to keep the gasket in place here too. Everything wants to fall apart real quick. With everything lined up, let the lifters drop into place, and then we'll go ahead and grab hardware and we'll start setting this up. So as far as torque spec goes, it's between 7.5 and 10 foot-pounds, which is actually a 90 inch-pounds to 120 inch-pounds. So obviously it's not a lot of torque. So I'm going to do these all by hand. I'll check them again once this bike is running. You kind of want to go through and check all the stuff over and over. These old Shovelheads or any of these old Harleys, they'll vibrate like crazy, and a lot of things will come loose. So it's things like this that you'll just want to check. You'll want to be really gentle here too, because these things can strip really fast. So be careful how much pressure you're actually putting on there. And with that, we have our lifter blocks in place. Okay, as you can see, we have the cylinder base nuts all in place. They do require a torque value of 32 to 40 foot-pounds. I have no good way to get a torque wrench in here, so I'm just going to torque them down by hand, give them a good old pull, and see where we're at. I feel like 40 pounds is quite a bit, and I feel like I can turn 40 pounds. With the rear cylinder set, we'll go ahead and repeat the process on the front cylinder. Again, we want to do a crisscross type pattern. If we can thread them down by hand, I'm just going to thread these nuts right down to the base itself. And then once I have this one and the opposite one to the base, I'll work on the opposite two. Unfortunately, I have no idea where we left off at. My memory card unfortunately died, and I did not realize it died. It never gave me any kind of auditory warning to show me or tell me or alert me that this thing quit recording. So I recorded a bunch of video, and this is where we're at. I'm not sure what we've got and what we don't. So I've got a new memory card installed, and this is where we are. Obviously working on the 1979 Shovelhead. I have installed the base nuts here. These are the high-rise, heavy-duty jobs. One of the things that you'll have to realize is when you're going to install the heads is the cylinder head nut here, or head stud, has to go in first before you can put the base nut on if you're using these high-rise jobs. There's no room to get them in, so I've gone ahead and put this one in. So it's this one here and this one here. It's both of the two that are on the exhaust sides. Hopefully you can see those. So I've got those started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of them in and tighten them down. That is a Colony parts kit. This is a big bore head bolt washer kit. I like these. They're a 12-point socket. They're small, or a 12-point, excuse me. They have a 12-point head on them, so they're small. They fit in real well. So I'm using these just to get in a tight space and, of course, make it look a little cleaner. This is the stud that I'm using. It's like an ARP style stud, and it comes with a little washer. Obviously, when you put these in, you'll have to go ahead and finagle the head a little bit to get everything to align. And then I typically twist these in a little bit as far as I can with my fingers. We'll get a couple of these started, get them in as far as I can get them by hand, and then I'll go ahead and I'll tighten everything down. Nice thing again with these is they've got a small enough head on them, and they're easier enough to work with. I can actually spin these in with my fingers and get them in as far as we can go. Nice thing with these is I was able to get most of them in all the way just by threading them in with my fingers. So thankfully we're at the home stretch here. Now we can actually get on these a little bit with a socket wrench and go ahead and tighten these up a little bit. Not a ton of space in there. I do have a nice boxed in wrench too. That's a 12-point as well, and I'll go ahead and tighten everything up once I get to that point. We're going to go ahead and do a little crisscross pattern work here. Now that I have all my head bolts in place, I have to go ahead and tighten them up to 24 to 26 foot-pounds of torque. I don't have a good way to get a torque wrench in here, so I'm just going to tighten these up all the way until they seat, and then I'll give them a good tug, and I believe that's going to be pretty close. Try to keep this stuff as even as possible. Obviously, that could cause a head gasket leak, and we don't want to have that. But I don't have a good way to get in here. I don't have a good wrench for this. What I've done is I've gone around and I've hit every single one of these head studs here, and I've just kind of given it a little bit at a time until I gave it a real hard pull on each one, and then I went around and checked to make sure that the same resistance, or felt like the same resistance, was all the way around. Now that I've got that done, it's time to go ahead and throw on our rocker box gaskets and rocker box covers. For the rocker box gaskets, I'm using these James gaskets. These are an aluminum center. They are covered with gasket material, and they do have rubber O-rings, and it's actually on both sides. So I don't know that there's a right way or wrong way to put these things on. I'm not sure if there's an up or a down. I don't think that there is, because you can read James both ways. We're going to go ahead and install these real quick. Now that I've got those slipped on in place, we'll put our rocker box covers on. Now I'm not going to fully install the rocker covers yet because I do not have the oil lines yet, so I need to get those in. They're on order, they're on the way, but I don't have those. I don't have my intake yet either. I need to get that. I do have the hardware for this, but I'm not going to put any of the hardware on just to have to take it off. So once I get those lines in, I'll go ahead and install those after this, and then we'll go ahead and button these up. But that's as far as we're going to be able to go for today. Well, friends, that's it for this video. Now I know I'm not as far as I wanted to be on this engine. I do have parts that are on the way. Unfortunately, some of the things are taking way too long to come in. It seems like whatever you're ordering now just continues to take longer and longer. And of course, my memory card decided to fail mid shooting this video, so I'm not even sure what I can salvage from that card and what I can't. It quit, and I literally put the camera down and put it away and walked away from this whole project for a few days just out of frustration. Of course, I had to order a new memory card. I was down to my last two. One of them is not in the shop, unfortunately. The one that was in the shop has died now, so I've ordered new ones. We'll go ahead and get those in the rotation. This is a new one today that's working, so hopefully it's recording like it should be. Anyway, that's just part of the deal, I guess. You know, technology is going to work when it works, right? Well, friends, of course, if you like this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate that feedback. You know, if you have questions or comments about what I'm doing here, please, drop them in that comment section below. Of course, as parts continue to funnel in and things continue to come along, I'm going to make more videos of this thing going together. I've got a lot left to do, but I've got a lot on order, so we're kind of just waiting on that, hanging in the balance. But if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. If you want to watch this engine come together, you're going to want to be notified for when these videos come out, and they're going to come out as regularly as I can make them. So if you're looking forward to watching this engine get built, hit that subscribe button. Well, friends, that's it for me today. I got tons of stuff to work on, lots of parts to put online, so I got to get back after it. We'll catch you next time.